Well, all right. Today we're gonna start a new chapter. I'm gonna make it already short, I promise. And our next session for SE220, I'll try to go over a review question. And if you have any questions, whether for this coming midterm or the quiz, please let me know so we can discuss this. All right. So chapter 3 here focuses on requirements engineering. And I'm pretty sure now this entire title or term is a bit familiar to you. So in the previous chapter, the main focus was on two things, mostly our process models, and we got to see a lot of models under this title, like incremental, waterfall, V model, what else? Reuse, RUP, spiral, right? And we got to see other methods to apply some of the processes like Agile, for example. And under Agile, we would see extreme programming, paired programming, and Scrum models. We also got to see adaptation, like how would you make changes to your own code, your own business requirements, and so on. We saw refactoring, right? Remember these concepts? And we looked into the modern approach of how to apply things. All good till here? Any question? Okay. So this chapter will mostly focus on functional, non-functional requirements. SRS documents, you know it stands for what? Software requirements. Specification, excellent. And then we have specification. We will differentiate between it and requirements. We'll look into the elicitation, the validation, and the management phases. Before I get started, and since you're aware already of these concepts, who can define for me the word requirements? In just casual English. Yeah, please.
What the customer wants.
What the customer wants. Perfect. Very good. Anything else?
Setting expectations.
Setting expectations. Perfect. Very well said. Yes. Okay. That's it, actually. Let's start from there. Okay, so I wanted to compare these two to each other. We have, on one side, requirements that are trackable, clear, necessary, testable, complete, and comprehensive. On the other side, it's inconsistent, not aligned with any business scope or vision, incomplete, not implementable, and incomprehensive. Which one would you prefer? This one. So I would say this represents the good set of requirements, right? This one is usually alert bringing. We can now talk about what are requirements. So requirements, as you mentioned, these are summary of business needs, right? And it could be highlighting user needs, so not only business. And away from business and users, this could be what the system needs to actually deliver, like you said, expectations. So we can say requirements engineering is the process of describing the system needs and also constraints, and keep this word in mind, under which the system will operate and get developed. And requirements, on the other side, are considered the high-level abstract layer where you provide statements that describe how the system actually works. Yeah? Now keep in mind that it could be an abstract version at the very beginning, but then later it will scale up to be detailed specifications. And this will set the pace for a good contract. All right, who you think actually gets access to SRS document? Who sees it? Who reads it? Okay, one by one. Developers. Programmers, developers, excellent. Okay.
Maybe the
Customers, excellent. Architecture team, like design team in general, perfect. So yes, you mentioned customers, any possible stakeholder, right? And development team, design team, perfect. Now, we would say that requirements are to be documented for one exact reason, which is building our contract. So this is what we agree on, okay? If you agree on having these expectations in the final deliverable as a customer, And if I agree that I will be able to deliver to you this set of expectations, then the contract is a done deal, right? Now let's look into the types of requirements. So we have mostly three possible types. We talk about business requirement, user requirements, system requirements. I think user requirement is the most clear, right? So we are trying to set the requirements to satisfy the user side. If you look in that model, top all the way down, this is high level all the way to detailed approach. So as we move down to our system requirements, this is where you expect more details to be involved. Comparing these two together, so business requirements simply expresses the business needs. On the other side, this one lists all specifications of your system. This one is considered a high level, usually written in text. On the other side, alaykum salam, this one is usually detailed, and you can provide matrices or diagrams to elaborate on. Usually, you can use functional, non-functional requirements under both of them. And this one is usually provided by the sponsors and the other stakeholders involved. But for the system requirements, this is created by requirements engineers and business analysts, right? That's only a sample showing you how to make one for user requirements and how to make one for system requirements. It's the same system, mental care. So mental care system shall generate monthly management report showing the cost of drugs prescribed by each clinic during that month. So that's a user requirement. They want to generate this sort of reports every month, right? So they can keep track of the entire profit, maybe the entire business vision. This is one. Now this one here, okay, on the last working days of each month, a summary of all drugs prescribed, their cost, and prescribing clinics should be generated. So the system needs to provide maybe filters to provide these data, right? Who gets access to what? So user requirements are mostly visible to client managers, system end users, client engineers, contractor managers, and system architect. Now these three people in middle are still common here for the system requirements. But in addition here, we have developers. So again, developers are those who are concerned in seeing how the system will work, because later they will turn this into code. Here, user requirements, the most interested person is contractor, right? So if these terms match my own needs, I do it. Make sense? Okay. So now let's agree on this. Requirements documentation is that thin line between theory and technicalities, right? So moving forward, once this SRS document is ready, you're able to start design and implementation afterwards. But you need to start working knowing three possible classes of these requirements. So we have requirements that are known, requirements that are overlooked, requirements that are emergent. How these three are different. Okay, so known, I think we understand it, right? Known requirements. We sit in a meeting, right? You mentioned this as a customer. I take a note. This is known to me. Deal? What could be overlooked?
Things that are missed.
Exactly. So things that you shared on that same table, same meeting, right? But I forgot maybe to document. But then when I came back to you, I was like, okay, this is what we agreed on. You said no. We agreed on 1, 2, 3 as well. I was like, oh, okay, yes. My bad. Right? So this is overlooked. Third one is the emergent, which come with perfect. Okay, so you have now a growing vision, right? Like here, remember when we explained how the new buildings came in? Do you think this brought up any possible new set of requirements to the university? Like what?
New library.
New library, okay.
Because all the med students occupy the current one.
That's been very old story. No changes, okay. Okay, what else? Like, let's think of it software side. What could be the needed services that you will need as a student?
Wi-Fi for students, maybe?
Sorry again?
Like a Wi-Fi system for students?
Okay, nice, very good. Servers, additional servers, very good.
Fire alarms on databases.
Excellent, so sensors, and let's talk about all possible hardware devices that might be needed. Very good. Again, this wasn't in our plan maybe 7 years ago, right? But because we had this as new business vision, new growth, we came up with some emergent requirements. Again, you might think of how new students, let's say, come and try to reach a new place, right? It's always hard to know where is that location, which building, which floor, right? So again, this can bring up a set of new requirements. That's why the university is trying to invest now in building a space management system, right? And so on. So we can summarize this with a very simple scenario. Let's assume we went to a grocery shop, okay? And we had our list of items that we need to purchase. We know everything well set. And I move line by line and I pick whatever items I'm listing in that paper. This is simply known requirements, right? But I came across, I don't know, maybe ketchup, just any product, okay? And I was like, oh, I need this. I just forgot to add it in my list, right? Then I brought it back in my basket. This is which one? This is overlocked, right? Then I kept moving, and then I found a product. I never knew that it exists in life, okay? And I badly need it. I decided to buy it. Well, this is emergent, right? Okay? All right, so these two usually are considered somehow unknown with different degrees. So we can say emergent requirements are needs that can't be identified until the user began to see the product, right? So we see a space management system, like that's a real scenario I'm telling you about, okay? Top management sit down in a meeting and they actually purchased a copy, a license for a space management system, working perfectly for 75% of their needs, okay? They can visualize things in 2D map, they can schedule, they can reserve spaces. But after seeing the demo, they were like, why don't we add 3D virtual tour? So this is emergent. When you see the product, you get to see, okay, what is it that I'm missing? What is it that I can add to this system, right? So this is what we refer to as emergent. So in general, we can classify requirements into functional, non-functional requirements, right? And from what the name suggests, functional is concerned of defining what the system should perform. And the non-functional is how the system should perform, okay? So non-functional requirements are not necessarily things to be coded, okay? As you mentioned, it could be a system that I'm implementing, but I'm concerned about, for example, how many users can access the service at a time, okay? I remember back then, before Moodle starts to upgrade to the recent version, especially with the starting growth in the students' number, we could enter at certain point and the service is down. Like it can't handle, especially during exam times, especially if there is online examinations. Sometimes students can't actually find access to their exams online because of the crowd. So traffic can actually cause any good website, let's say, to drop. Yeah? So non-functional requirements come to specify for you few measures. Okay? How fast, for example. So how the performance will stay and maintain with a huge crowd or too many requests at a time. Right? We can talk about hardware. How about hardware? How about servers? Yeah? How about the cloud service that stores our own database? So we can talk about these measures under non-functional requirements. How about security? It's non-functional. Like 75% of security requirements will be non-functional. Only 25% will be under functional requirements, like how you would actually create the code for, let's say, authentication, two-steps verification, and other stuff. So yes, these are mostly the two general categories that we can talk about. So functional requirements focus on these things that are necessary, right? Just pay attention that there are two types of requirements. Things that are important and things that are essential. Okay? How different are these two?
Essential is like you have to do it.
I have to do it, exactly.
Important is like they're important, but not as important as.
Very good, very good. So here comes the beauty of need assessment, okay? Or what we know later as a priority set. We'll talk about this in a few slides. But for now, let's look into that very initial draft of how these requirements could be split. We have performance, security, reliability, usability, changeability, portability. These can all be considered qualitative requirements under non-functional, while boundary conditions would go by law, by standards, by technology trends, by process models. So we can specify, for example, what standards you're aware of when it comes to coding. Do you know ISO standard? Do you know IEEE standard? Do you know FDA for the food and drugs?
Yeah.
You know this, okay? So if I'm building an application, let's say for pharmacy, okay? So this has to abide by law and standards of FDA, right? If I'm building a system, let's say for blind people, any group of target end user, let's say, who's facing any sort of disability, there is a standard. We call this accessibility standard, right? So again, based on what you want to implement, you need to go and check which law, which standard you need to avoid breaking. So this is simply the non-functional requirements that puts for you the rules that you need to follow while implementing. That's an example. Let's think of a house. All right, you all have houses, right? Just imagine you're building a new one, okay? And yeah, I'm the vendor here, okay? So tell me how you see this new house. What are your key requirements? And let's talk about it in functional requirements version.
Installation.
Okay, can we give it, again, keep in mind, we said our functional requirements need to be detailed, right? Detailed specifications, has to be clear, comprehensive, okay? So provide me some details. You said isolated?
No, like insulation.
Installations,
Yes,
okay.
to protect against maybe like heat or cold or anything.
Perfect. So you need this to be against all weather conditions, right? That are harmful. Very good. Excellent.
The dimensions of the house.
Dimensions of the house. Okay. Can you be very specific? Because that's very general to me. I can make it to you big from my own perspective, right? And it might not be as big from your own perspective. Yeah? So here comes the misconception sometimes, right? If I'm saying I want to buy a car that's fast one, how can you define fast?
It might be for formula, it might be just fast understanding.
Yeah.
Might be sports.
Exactly, exactly. So this could differ from one person to another, right? If I'm saying my system is scalable to hundreds of users, be specific, up to how many you can handle, right? So tell me after 1,000, the system will crash, right? So you need to be very specific in terms of numbers, time, duration, anything that has to do with these non-functional requirements. So yeah, of course I can look into, let's say, the bedrooms, I can look into the kitchen, the bathroom, I can put a list of requirements under each of these rooms, right? I can do the same here for non-functional requirements, as you mentioned, weather resistance. I can look for energy efficiency, comfort, noise reduction, safety, security, sustainability, scalability, maintainability, any of these. So here we have simply two things, left and right. We're talking about same measures almost, but we have vehicle has to be fast. As we said, this is, it's missing the details of how fast, right? So here, if I said the engine in the vehicle should be able to reach at least 150 meter per hour, so this is now a good requirement set, right? The vehicle has to be red. Again, you can customize this, of course, when it comes to software. If I'm building, let's say, a website for Al Faisal, I have to stick to the shades of the 3 grades, let's say, of blue that Al Faisal logo has, right? So this can be still part of your own requirements. You can even be specific in defining the color code of each. All right, so it has to be safe for the drivers. How safe? Okay. So here I can say, for example, it has to abide by the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, right? This becomes now something to refer back to if anything wrong happened. And so on. So here we can define sensors, we can define devices, any additional tools to be added. Okay, I'll stop it here today. Okay. I do have your quiz 1 for this course, quiz 1 papers, if you want to see it. What else? Okay, so
will the SE220 class be online or
today?
Yeah.
Today is optional attendance. Again, if you can't make it, if you prefer to stay, study, revise, whatever, up to you, fine. What I will do today, I'm not going to give any additional material. I'll just go over 2 review documents I posted on Moodle. Let me show you.
So online or in class, bit of the code?
As you like. You want to join over Zoom?
I mean, in class might be better in case.
I'm here actually. I'll be here delivering it in like physical. But if you can't make it, fine. Again, I'm not going to count attendance, so let me show you. I'll give it for everyone, yes.
For 220 or?
For 220 and 201.
But doctor, you just be revising, right?
Yes, so this is basically what I posted for you. I'm not sure if anyone had a look at it. I posted it last weekend. Okay, so on the resources, you can see there is the review part. Oops. Okay, it's not opening. Anyways, so if you open Moodle, just go to the SE220 course. Under resources, you will see 2 files added. One is a practice question on review, and the other is mid-1 review. So mid-1 review covers parts even from JavaFX, okay? And I will post for you additional review questions, 1 for every chapter. But again, just do it for checking your own knowledge, okay? So this should help you actually get over some of the misconceptions. In my next class, I'll go over these questions, okay? And if you have any question, please prepare it so we can discuss, okay? Thank you. I'll see you in 15 minutes, inshallah. Yes. Of course.
If we solve the breadsheet that you put on